Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jane Stevens. I'm the training manager here at ZOLO, and today we are talking about customer service. So welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday after the long weekend. I hope you guys had a fantastic long weekend, and hopefully you were still busy doing showings. Real estate, never sleeps. No such thing as a weekend, so hopefully it was successful for all of you guys. Again, today we're going to be talking about customer service, and before we jump in, I would love to hear from you guys. I'm going to launch a poll just so that I know who my audience is here with me today. So if you don't mind answering a few questions, I'd just love to know when you got your license and how much experience you have, if any. And if you haven't done any leases or worked with any buyers before, no problem. I just want to know where we're all at. So I've just launched that. While I'm waiting for you guys to answer, I will just share with you guys the training calendar, which, as you know, you can find in the workplace group under training. And so every Monday and Wednesday, we do a new agent orientation. On Monday, we really talk about the CRM and that initial phone call that you have with leads that come into your CRM, and really converting those calls to showings. And then on Wednesday, we talk about what happens when you show them something that they like and they want to submit an offer. How do you prepare that paperwork? Where do you go? What do you do? So web forms, Authenticign, we do sort of hands-on training there. So if you haven't done your mock offer to lease yet, if you're brand new, then please join me for both of those. But definitely web forms, because we'll do a sort of a click-by-click training so that you can get that offer to lease submitted literally at the end of that session. So today, of course, we're talking about customer service, and then at the end of every month on Thursday, I welcome the team leaders here at ZOLO, and we do just an open forum Q&A. So you can bring your CRM questions, you can bring your situations, and we can talk about it tomorrow. So definitely join us for that on Thursday. All right, so I've got about half of you who have voted so far, so thank you for doing that. I'm just going to make sure I've got everybody admitted into the room. So yeah, if you don't mind answering that, I will just leave it up for about 10, 15 seconds. So it looks like most of you so far have just recently gotten your gotten your license, so that's great. Welcome to real estate, welcome to ZOLO. We'll definitely keep you busy here with leads. If you haven't done any transactions yet, then hopefully you are joining us for the training session so we can get you up and running as quickly as possible. All right, I'm going to end the poll there. Thanks so much. I'm going to share the results with you guys. And yeah, as you can see, about half of you are newly licensed less than 1 year ago. So again, welcome. So which means half of you haven't done any leases yet or worked with any buyers. And again, that is no problem. But I do have 38% of you who have done leases, and I've got 15% of you who have done either more than 5 buyer transactions or more than 10 buyer transactions. So that is amazing. So today we're going to be talking about how to really start off those relationships on the right foot, how to nurture them, so that at the end of the day, not only are you getting positive reviews, positive feedback, but you're also generating business from those leads, right? That you've done a great job with. Hopefully those result in referrals, and that hopefully you end up with a referral-based business. So let's get into it. We're talking about customer service today. Again, feel free to share with me, talk to me if you want to raise your hand. If you have done something that, maybe it was an idea that came to you, maybe inspired by, COVID right now, where we're doing things virtually. We're trying to meet people who are just really serious and ready to go and qualified, of course. Maybe you've implemented something in your business that has worked for you. An example of that, and speaking to some of the top producers here at ZOLO, one of the things that I heard them mention was that due to COVID, they created a sort of a buyer consultation, which was done before actually meeting the clients and really explaining the process to them, and then really uncovering, what it is that they're looking for, what their motivation is, and how qualified and ready they are. So that was something that they were able to implement, and something that they'll carry forward with them, because it really did sort of not only create a good experience, right, but a good understanding, and of course good customer service at the end of the day, right? Knowing who it is that you're working with and explaining the process, that's going to start to build trust and loyalty to you. If you are just having conversations with the lead about a particular property and saying, yes, it's available, no, it's available, do you want to see it or no, and you just show up and unlock the door, what have you created there, right? So today we're going to talk about creating value so that they do come back and work with you over and over and over again. So that's what we're here to discuss today. We have some of the customer service training that we've done before in the academy that you can see. So hopefully you guys know where to access this, but it is in your CRM under tools. You see the academy link there, which will take you to this platform. So you're able to browse courses by list view is kind of my preference because you can see everything in order and find what it is that you're looking for. So if you haven't explored that, please do so. Because yes, of course, that's where you will eventually go to complete your mock offer, which is how we can get your leads turned on so that you can really implement everything that we're going to talk about here today in terms of customer service. So again, feel free to chat with me. I'd love to hear from you about what you maybe have implemented in your business that you find really works and really creates, trust and loyalty between you and your clients. So don't be afraid to chat with me. Because yeah, we're definitely going to start off with some best practices. So what can you do? What can you implement in your business, that might create that loyalty from your customers? Because, unfortunately it does happen. I hear this all the time from agents. I had a great conversation. I took them out on showings and then I got ghosted, right? What happened? Where did they go? Why didn't they call me back? I thought we had a good conversation. So I think that there's some things that you can implement, before, during, and after, not just conversations, but transactions generally that will, build that loyalty. And of course, as I said at the beginning, result in referrals. So first and foremost, I can't stress this enough, you do want to be really responsive. Of course, here at ZOLO, we are receiving internet leads. So we do want to get back to them as quickly as possible. The rule of thumb here is between 5 minutes and hopefully not more than an hour. So kind of within that time frame, if you're able to get back to people within 5 minutes, that is amazing because then you're going to be top of mind. They may still be on the ZOLO website. They may still be looking at the property they inquired about. So they know exactly what you're calling them about. You don't have to refresh their memory. You don't have to go over, what property they were looking at. They know, they still have it in front of them. Keep in mind that internet leads are not just looking on ZOLO. They're probably looking on other websites. So really it is speed to the lead. Because if another agent responds faster than you do and books the showing, then they're already committed to working with that agent, at least for that particular showing, right? So you really do want to be responsive. As you can see here, the photo has some auto responses. So if you're not able to pick up, which of course happens, right? Sometimes we're in the middle of showings. Sometimes we're just at home and there's kids running around and it's kind of noisy and distracting. So there might be, an incoming call that you can't take. Instead of just ignoring it, letting it go to voicemail, do have perhaps these auto responders and you can set these up. You can customize them. So you can say, I'm in a showing, I'm on the other line. Can I call you back in 5 minutes? So you can customize these and send something quite quickly so that, again, the lead knows that, okay, maybe you didn't pick up, but I have reached a professional who is responsive and is going to call me back in 5 minutes. In addition to that, of course, you do want to have a voicemail that is also professional. So if you haven't set up your voicemail saying that you are an agent with ZOLO, you don't want them to think that they've reached a wrong number. So definitely, customize your auto responders and your voicemail messages, but of course have the goal of answering your phone each and every time. Just so you guys know, the CRM, of course, well, if you're new and you haven't done the CRM training, I'll stress it now. The ZOLO bot is watching, right? And it's rewarding active agents with leads. So if you're not an active agent, meaning that you're not answering your phone, you're not updating your activity, your leads are going to slow down and eventually they'll just be paused. So in order to prevent that from happening, yes, answer your phone. It actually, there's a bit of a scoring system that happens in the back end. If you pick up your phone, it counts way more than if you have to call them back later, right? And then you enter that activity in the CRM saying that you did call them back. It counts more, it gives you more points if you actually answer your phone. And it counts more if you're keeping them on the phone for longer than 30 seconds. So if you just answer and you say, can I call you back in 5 minutes? That's a quick conversation, right? If you can pick up your phone and have a conversation with them, and even if you have to explain, I'm in the middle of a showing, let me know what you're looking for. I'll get back to you with that information. If you can keep them on the call for 30 seconds, even if you don't have that availability to really, have a lengthy conversation with them, again, that will count in your CRM. So these are all little tricks to know in terms of you keeping busy with the ZOLO system and it providing you with leads. So responding quickly actually isn't just about customer service. It's also about you getting leads and the ZOLO bot, knowing that you're an active agent, because active agents here at ZOLO do get rewarded with leads. So Respond quickly. It works for the client and it works for you. All right. Definitely. Here's a question that comes up, or something that comes up is anticipating needs, right? So of course you want to have a conversation with them about what it is that they're looking for, right? So, sure, talk about the number of bedrooms and bathrooms and square footage, and but maybe get into it a little bit more about, if somebody has, a bad back or bad knees, or there's, in-laws living with them, do they need a master bedroom on the main floor? Do they need a finished basement? Do they need an additional kitchen downstairs if they, have family visiting quite often? So get to understand them and what it is that they're looking for, more than just the basic number of bedrooms. Go a little bit deeper, dig a little bit deeper, and find out what it is that's motivating them, right? Because in that way you can anticipate their needs. And when they send you a list of 10 properties that they want to see, you can also help them eliminate some of those properties because you already know what they're looking for, right? This one isn't going to work so well. It doesn't have that open concept that you're looking for. You're not going to be able to see the kids playing in the other room. So, again, this is showing your value. You're not just going to be, waiting for them to tell you what they want to look at. You're letting them know, from this list of properties that I sent you, I think this one would be a really great fit, right? You're keeping them in mind. You're knowing what it is that they're looking for and what they need, and you're making suggestions based on that. So definitely anticipate needs. And of course, that comes with asking the right questions. So yes, you want to have a conversation with them about, as I said, the basics of what they're searching for, but don't be afraid to ask, what's motivating you to make this move? Where are you now? What's not working there? And, this doesn't have to be during the initial phone call. I know people, when they call about a property, they're probably, they're quick about it. They want to schedule a showing. So this might be something that you implement in a buyer consultation if you decide to do that. Or maybe it's a conversation that you have when you do take them out on a showing. So, have a plan, know what questions you're going to ask in order to be able to anticipate their needs in the future. It's not enough to just book a showing and show up on time. You want to have these conversations and you want to get to know them a lot better so that you can go forward and make recommendations based on your conversations with them. So definitely sharing information. So we have access to MLS, and I know there's a lot of information available on the internet, but there's still some things that aren't available. For example, on the ZOLO website, they don't see the exact, well, they won't see the possession date, right? If you're looking at a property for lease, you don't see the possession date. If they're looking for a property to purchase, they don't see the age of the home. Typically, they don't see the square footage. So those might be, reasons why they're calling you. Those might be questions that they're asking initially. So definitely share that information. But then also go, a step further, always thinking about how you can provide more information, more value. So yes, of course, you're sharing with them what's not available online, but then also let them know this particular property is accepting offers on Friday, right? And explain to them what the market is doing right now. So, most of these properties in this area, they're being priced, a little bit lower than what the sellers are expecting, maybe a lot lower in some cases. So let me do some comparables. Let me tell you what this should sell for to see if it's still in your price range, to see if we should go see it, and to see, if we do want to compete on offer date, right? Letting them know if a property is accepting bully offers. What does that mean, right? How does that process work? So definitely sharing information, not just about what's not visible online, but also about the market, right? And what they can expect going forward. Again, this is going to build trust and loyalty. If you're brand new to the industry and you don't have, 100 homes that you can show them that you sold, what you can do is you can educate them on the process, right? Let them know what to expect if they are holding off on offers, and then sharing that with them and walking them through the process so that, again, they feel like what you're doing. A lot of times people don't ask you how many homes have you sold. They're just asking for information. So if you're able to be the knowledge broker, provide that information, then again, that's going to build trust and loyalty, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. So definitely share information. So be patient. I hear this a lot, that, oh, well, I got these leads, but they're not ready to go, or I got these leads and they're not qualified. Not everybody in real estate is going to contact you and, want to buy something that afternoon or that week, right? If they did, real estate would be easy and everybody would do it. So no, we need a little bit of patience. We need a lot of patience in this business. So yes, you might meet somebody who maybe isn't qualified. Maybe they're first-time home buyers, right? Let's think about that situation for a minute. Maybe they're first-time home buyers. They're interested. Of course, they want to get into the market. And maybe they think they have enough of a down payment, but they're nowhere near what they need, right? Maybe they just started a job, and they haven't even, gone through the probation period yet. So meet with them. Meet with them. Take the time, to get in front of them, have those in-person conversations, and then again, guide them through the process, right? Put them in touch with a mortgage broker. Hopefully, you can refer them to Zolo Mortgages. They can help you. And if they're not qualified, stay in touch with them. I'm going to touch on this in a minute too, just about having systems in place, because without a system, it's going to be really hard to provide customer service, right? You're not going to remember the hundreds of people that you talk to, and you're not going to know who to talk to next week versus next month versus a year from now, right? So you definitely want to have a system in place, because yes, real estate is a long game. So even if they're not qualified, still have a conversation with them, still educate them on the process, let them know what they need to do in order to become qualified, so that hopefully in 6 months or a year, they call you back and not another agent, right? So I will just say right now, because it's relevant, one of the things that I will suggest implementing is having a monthly newsletter, something that you send out on a monthly basis for people like this who aren't quite ready. How are you going to stay top of mind? You don't want to have to call them every 2 weeks. You don't want to have to call them, every month or so, but you do want to stay top of mind. So you can have a weekly newsletter, a monthly newsletter, whatever it is that you want to do, so that all of these emails, all of these conversations that you're having are resulting in email addresses that you can add to a database that you can target with a monthly newsletter. So be patient. Don't get frustrated if things don't fall into place right away. The example of first-time home buyer is, probably one where you'll need a lot of patience. And then also there's people who are just thinking about things, right? We want to downsize, but we're not quite sure what our kids are doing yet. They were supposed to go to college, but right now they're studying at home. We don't know how long that's going to last. Still, go meet them. Take a tour of their home that they have now. Give them a market evaluation on what you think it should go for right now in this market. And then have patience. Once you figure out what's happening, what you want to do, what the kids are doing, right? Contact me, let me know, and I will reevaluate your home and see, if you can get more, or, hopefully not less, but hopefully a little bit more if you wait. But right now it is a seller's market. You can talk to them about that. But again, just being patient, putting yourself in front of them. And yes, don't expect things to happen overnight. It's a long game. Hopefully they will call you back in 6 months or a year, whenever it is that they're ready. So you want to be in touch with people that you do need to kind of think about longer term. So patience is key. Really leaving an impression with your hellos and your goodbyes. So of course, answering your phone professionally. If you are showing up to a listing presentation, showing up, of course, professionally dressed. If it's a showing up on time, having maybe an itinerary that you send out before where it's all in geographical order. So you're not going from, point A to point Z back to point A when you're doing showings, but everything makes sense. It's in order. So, you are, welcoming, you're organized. So, definitely in your hellos, you're professional. You have systems set up that people know what to expect from you. And then of course, at the end, just reiterating whatever it was that you discussed. For example, let's just use showings as an example, right? So yes, you definitely want to be showing up on time, professionally dressed, and with the information in hand, right? There's nothing worse when you're walking through a property and they ask you, how many bedrooms is this again? And you don't know if it's 3 or 4, you haven't been upstairs yet. You should know that. So have the MLS listing printed out in front of you so that if they do ask you, bedrooms, square footage, age, what are they accepting offers? What are the taxes here again? You have that information. You're not expected to memorize everything, to know everything, off the top of your head. And if you don't know it, just say, what, I'll find out for you, right? Not a big deal if you don't know it, but if you have the MLS listing printed and with you, that's going to give you a lot of the answers that you need so that you're not put on the spot not knowing something, right? You can very easily say, what, the age of the home isn't listed or the square footage isn't listed, but I can easily find that out, later on, and I'll let you know. So, be on time, be professional, be prepared. And then in addition to that, if you are doing showings, using that example of showings, if you've shown them 3 or 4 properties, then at the end of each property, ask them, what do you think? What are your takeaways? What do you like, between, house number 2 versus house number 1? What are your takeaways? Which one do you prefer? So that by the end of the, day of showings, if you've shown them 3 or 4 properties, you already know which one they're leaning towards. You already know which one they like the best, right? So again, you're not just showing up to open and close doors. You are showing up You're explaining, you know, the details about each property. And again, of course, if they're accepting offers, you can talk to them about that and what to expect. And then, you know, at the end of it all, you're wrapping it all up with a bow, right? And you know what it is that they're interested in. And then you can offer to send them comparables, right? So if they did like property number one after you showed them 3 or 4, then, you know, you close that conversation off, that meeting off with, I'm going to follow up with you guys. I'm going to send you, you know, some comparables so that you have an idea as to what it might go for, you know, and then of course, you know, if it's a seller's market like we're in right now, you talk to them about that and, you know, what it might go for if you can predict that. So definitely having a conversation before and after and being professional and organized. All right, leaving an impression. All right, so remembering details is key as well. So again, this is going to go to having a system that keeps you organized, right? Because you're not going to remember everybody's situation or what their kids' names are, or, you know, if they have 2 dogs or a cat or whatever it is. Birthdays are key. It's something that it's really important to remember because, again, you know, in addition to keeping your clients top of mind, making them feel like, you know, they are your priority, not that you have 100 clients, but that they are your priority. You know, that's how everybody wants to feel, right? That's the takeaway. They want to feel important. So how do you make them feel important? It's by remembering their details. So yes, kids' names, that's great, you know, if you know that information. But of course, when we're writing an offer for any of our clients, we are looking at their driver's license, right? Which has their date of birth on it. So that's something really easy to remember. You can put into a system. It can even be automated, an automated, you know, happy birthday, it comes from you. Again, it just shows that you are, you know, keeping them top of mind. Sometimes, of course, these automated messages do appear automated. I know that there are some agents that will take the time, and at the beginning of the month, they will write birthday cards for everybody who has birthdays coming up that month and stick them in the mail. Nobody gets cards like that anymore, so it's a really nice personal touch if you're, you know, if you're able to take the time, and especially when you're starting out, it's good to implement. So remember their birthdays, remember their anniversary, like of their move-in date. So if it has been a year since they moved in, I mean, that's a great excuse to reach out to them and just say, hey, congratulations, you know, offer to, again, give them if it was a property that they purchased, offer to give them a CMA so that they know, you know, what their house is worth now a year later, right? So having those conversations, staying in touch. So in addition to that newsletter, whether it's weekly or monthly, having some personal touch points as well throughout the year. And birthdays are really easy to have as a touch point, as well as the anniversary of their move-in date. So just a couple of things to keep track of, to remember their details. And then, of course, compare your services. Don't just compare yourself to other realtors and what they're doing, but compare yourselves to other industries, right? when you show up at a restaurant, you know, if somebody remembers what you ordered last time, you know, that makes you feel special. So, you know, just comparing yourself to what other industries are doing and having that same level of service implemented into your business. So again, it just goes back to remembering details. And, you know, when you walk into that restaurant and they remember what drink you ordered last time, you know, it makes you feel really special. And you know what? They probably have it in the computer. They're not actually remembering, but it makes you feel like they are, right? So again, if you have a system in place, then hopefully that will help you come across like you're just remembering their details off the top of your head when really you have a system in place to help you. So compare yourself to other industries and, you know, provide that level of customer service. It's not just, you know, restaurants, you know, or service-based businesses that rely on reviews. Realtors also rely on reviews. So that's something we're going to talk about as well coming up here. So let's talk about reviews. Definitely you want to be asking for reviews probably when your client is the happiest. And your client is probably the happiest when you have successfully gotten them an accepted offer. So, you know, you're building the relationship when you talk to them initially, when you're taking them out on showings, you're building that relationship, that rapport, you're getting to know each other. And then of course, you know, especially right now that the market is so competitive, you know, maybe they're not successful the first time, maybe they're not successful the second time in submitting their offer, but maybe there are some lessons that you learn along the way, and finally you get an accepted offer. That's usually when they're the most excited. So make it part of your practice to ask for that review at that time. So you're sending them the accepted offer. Probably you have some email template that says, congratulations, here's your accepted offer. You know, next steps in terms of, you know, deliver the deposit, you know, get a lawyer, you know, if there's conditions, obviously those would need to be satisfied. So maybe you have an email like that. Ask for feedback. At that point, ask for reviews. And there are a bunch of different platforms that you can use for reviews. Such as a Google business. So if you don't have one, you can ask them to give you a review on the ZOLO Google business. So if you basically just Google ZOLO Realty, it'll pop up. And we have, it says there 235 Google reviews, but I actually just looked at it before starting this webinar, and I think we have 400 something now. So lots and lots of reviews. So if you have a satisfied client, don't be afraid to ask them to review ZOLO. But of course, in addition, you do want them to review you, right? Because you want your future clients not to have to go through all the ZOLO reviews to see what they say about you. So do have a platform for yourself that you can also ask for reviews on, such as a Facebook business page. So this is, I like to recommend this because it is free. I always like to recommend things that are free, and it's very easy to set up a Facebook business page. So just go ahead, and if you don't have one created, make that your project today. Create a Facebook business page. Have your colleagues like you at the beginning, right? Friends and family like your page at the beginning, and definitely ask, some people to review you. So you can see here, Valerie Peebles was an agent here at Solo. She had her Facebook business page, and she had 5 reviews, all giving her 5 stars. And so you can, decide what you want to post about on your Facebook page. It doesn't have to be all real estate related, but definitely use it as a platform to get reviews. But if you're not using it, if you're not posting on it regularly, then it'll probably fall flat. So do make sure that if you are going to create a Facebook page, that you are posting on it so that people see that you're active on the page and that your reviews are recent. So definitely create that, but only create it if you're going to use it. And if you need help with that, I'll just plug Sidekicks Media here. They do all of our business cards. They work with a lot of Zolo agents. So if you're looking for some social media management, they have packages for that as well. And we actually have a couple of webinars that we did, I think it was last month. So we've got part 1 and part 2 of social media. So if you did want to do it yourself, you could listen to those 2 webinars that are on our YouTube channel and take a look at what they suggest. But really easy to set up and a great place to ask for reviews so that future clients, can kind of vet you, right? Can find out, okay, who am I talking to? Who is this agent? How much experience do they have? And what are their past reviews? So definitely an easy platform to implement. As you guys know, when you do take clients out on showings, hopefully you're entering that showing, make it a practice to, enter that showing as you're leaving the property. So if you're in the driveway of property number 3, that you've just shown them 3 properties, this is the last one and you're leaving, make it just a habit to enter in your showing activity. As soon as you submit that update, your clients will get a text message saying, how do you rate your Zolo agent? So that's why I suggest entering the showing activity after you've done the showing, because your clients are going to get a text message. So hopefully they give you a glowing review. If they do, we'll reach out to you and we'll let you know that somebody, gave you a 5-star review and, whatever their blurb is. So if you did want to put that on your website, you could do that. But of course, a website is something that costs money. So the Facebook business page is a good starting point. And Instagram. I don't use Instagram as much as I should, but anyway, I should mention Instagram. All right. So as I was saying at the beginning, you definitely want to have a system where you are organized. So having a CRM, and of course, as I also just said, I like to recommend things that are free. So at the beginning, of course, you want to be scheduling activities within your CRM. So when you do have a lead come in, you want to be managing those leads, again, very quickly. You want to call them back as quickly as possible, hopefully within the first 5 minutes. You want to be updating that activity. You don't want them sitting on your dashboard. Again, this is a Zolo thing. This is, about you continuing to receive leads. You want to make sure that you're updating your activities as quickly as possible. And then you're probably filtering that lead into an engaged folder. So you don't want it to be out of sight, out of mind. You've had this great conversation with this lead, and now you filtered them into the engaged folder. How are you going to reach out to them next, right? So in the CRM, you can schedule a follow-up. So that would come up under scheduled activities. So if you had activities scheduled for today, you would see today's scheduled activities right on your dashboard. So I do recommend you entering in as many notes as possible and then scheduling a follow-up so that it does come up right on your dashboard when you need to follow up with them. So again, there's going to be hundreds of people in your CRM. So you want to make sure that you do have a system where you're staying on top of all of your leads. And then of course, as a backup system, I would recommend having an Excel spreadsheet. So again, this is my free recommendation, having an Excel spreadsheet where you keep track of all the people that you're talking to. Because if you just filter them into the engaged folder, even if you have a scheduled follow-up, that's just going to be a long alphabetical list. If you go into your CRM right now and you click on engaged, you're going to see a long alphabetical list of leads. So that's probably not going to tell you very much, if you're looking for somebody specifically, and maybe you're looking for them based on their search criteria and not their name, right? In the engaged folder, they're all alphabetical. So maybe have a backup system such as an Excel spreadsheet where you're keeping track of those leads who are, really hot, ready to go. Yeah, Excel template, thanks for that. I don't have a template. I actually, sorry, I do. I don't have one uploaded to the Academy, but I can email it to you guys as a follow-up to this. I'm just making a note for myself so I don't forget to do that as a follow-up to this webinar. Yeah, happy to do that. Yeah, so the Excel spreadsheet, I mean, it can be really simple. You could set this up yourself, just basically keeping track of maybe the date that they inquired, or this could be your follow-up date, whatever you want to do. You have 2 columns. So the date that they inquired, the type of lead that they are. So are they a renter? Are they a buyer? If they are a renter, maybe you want to put in their possession date, right? Because there's going to be lots of situations where, you have a conversation with somebody. So right now it's May 25th. If you have a conversation with somebody who's looking for something September 1st, we don't have inventory right now that's available September 1st. Most of the properties that are available on MLS are going to be available June, July, maybe August. But yeah, September is kind of down the road a bit. So you might want to put them in your Excel spreadsheet as, this is somebody who's interested September 1st. So, maybe mid-July to reach out to them, right? So keep track of their name, keep track of their phone number, definitely their email address. And then what I like to also keep track of is the area and the budget that they're working with. So, maybe they're looking for a rental property in Milton or Oakville and their budget is $3,500. If they're looking for a purchase of property, maybe in Milton, but their budget is 800. The reason why I suggest keeping track of all of that information is because, again, when you compare it to the CRM, to the ZOLO CRM, you just have a long list of leads in alphabetical order. But here you have a little bit of their search criteria, not a ton, right? You don't have all of the notes available to you, but you know what area they're looking in and you know what price point they're looking in. So if somebody posts on Workplace, for example, and they have a listing coming soon, it's in Milton, it's 800, it's 799, whatever it is. Maybe you can reach out to your client and say, listen, I have this listing. It hasn't hit the market yet, but I can show it to you before it does go public. Are you interested, right? So it's a great way, again, for the buyer to feel like you are keeping them top of mind. This is a great example of customer service. It is keeping them informed on what's coming up and not just sitting back waiting for MLS to notify them of a new listing, but you're being proactive and you are calling them and giving them information about a listing that's coming soon, right? That's where we really show our value, right? We have access to properties that are not available on MLS. We know about things that are coming onto the market before they actually hit the market. So let's get in there, let's do a showing, let's take a look. So this is why I recommend having at least an Excel spreadsheet so you can keep track of what they're looking for and where. And then all the rest of the stuff, notes, for example, I used to suggest keeping notes, but what I actually suggest that you do now is copy the client's URL in the ZOLO CRM. So every single client that you have, every single lead that comes into the ZOLO CRM has a unique URL that takes you to their client profile. So I would recommend keeping all of the notes in the ZOLO CRM, all of your follow-ups, all of that in the ZOLO CRM, but you're keeping track of this sort of your Excel spreadsheet where you have a link to that so that you can, update all of your notes in the CRM. You're feeding the ZOLO about what it wants, but you're keeping track sort of as a backup system, if you will. As you guys know, if you've been at ZOLO for a while, sometimes leads get transferred. So if you know that you have a lead on this list of yours, this Excel spreadsheet, and you're looking for it later, you have those, unique URLs. So you can click on that link, it'll take you to the client's profile, and if it has been transferred to another agent, you'll know who it is, and you can just ask for it to be transferred back. So that happens sometimes, but this is a good way to keep track of all the conversations you've had, and also, keep them top of mind in terms of what they're looking for. So hopefully you guys are able to implement something like that. Now, of course, there are CRM systems that you can pay for. So I did do a quick Google search, and there's more than 23, but this one recommended 23 CRM systems that are, probably the most popular in real estate, according to my last Google search. So there were a few on this list that I recognized. There were a few that I didn't. Wise Agent, Zoho, some of them are free, some of them, you have to pay for. Top Producer is one that I've highlighted here because that's probably the one that I've heard of the most. I hear that a lot of people use that. A lot of top producers use that. It's called Top Producer. But it is a little bit involved. So if you were to consider a CRM, there's a ton of them that are available to you. And you could literally spend an entire day looking at different CRM systems. So let me just highlight a few here for you. Top Producer is great. It's probably on the pricier end of things, and you do have to customize it quite a bit. So if you're techie and you like that stuff, then this might be the platform for you. It does integrate with your email and your text messages. So if you haven't had contact with a particular lead in a while, it's intuitive like that. It knows that maybe somebody might be falling off, so they'll recommend that you reach out to them. So it's sophisticated, but it costs money and it takes a little bit to customize. Exact Contact is the one that I really recommend the most because it's around $30. And if you're a new agent, it's free for the first 6 months, which I think is a super generous trial period. So if you're new, sign up, 6 months free, and it does so many things. So I talked about a newsletter already. This will keep track of all of your contacts. You can enter everybody into your database, into your CRM. This would be your CRM. It keeps track of what your active business is. So if you do have a buyer representation agreement or a tenant representation agreement, do you have a client list? Do you know who those people are? I mean, right now you might if you just have a couple of BRAs signed, but have systems that you can grow into, right? Because that's kind of going to be the falling off point of customer service, right? If you have a system that you have in your head right now because you only have a couple of buyers, as soon as you have 5 or 8 or 10, that's going to be harder for you to keep track of in your head. So have a system in place that you can grow into. And so this one will keep track of your active business. Who do you have contracts signed with? Active buyers, what are your tasks? What are your appointments? And the reason I really recommend this is because it does implement a newsletter. So I recommended having a weekly newsletter, a monthly newsletter to reach out to everybody. And what's nice about this is you wouldn't have to invest in another system like iContact or MailChimp in order to email all of your database. You can do that right within Exact Contact. And what's nice too is that they do kind of create a template. So every month they come up with a new newsletter. You can change it, you can tweak it, but at least it's a starting point, right? Because it's always hard to come up with content. But if they give you a platform that you can kind of keep or delete, then as I said, it's a good starting point. So Exact Contact is one that I like. Yeah, if you have recommendations, definitely let me know. Drop them in the chat. Realty Juggler is another one that I highlighted here. I do use this one, but it's kind of a bit of a clunky interface. If you can get past kind of the 90s design, it's good. It's not the best for keeping track of contacts, in my opinion, prospects, leads, but it does give you lots of options from keeping track of your commission. So, that's something else that, might be nice to have in a CRM, right? Because again, it may be easy to remember right now, but once you grow and you have more business, then you want to be able to keep track of it, right? What did I do last year versus this year? All right. Yeah, so there was this one that I came across. I think this one is free, Real Office 360. So feel free to try that one as well. And I think you can kind of create different stages and you can have it match the ZOLO CRM, our own pipeline, and you can drag and drop leads into the different folders, just like you would in the ZOLO CRM. But of course, it gives you a little bit more, just more tools and more visibility into what you're doing with each client. Yeah, David, thanks for the suggestions. Agent Locator, yes, great recommendation. Agent Locator is pricier because it will also generate leads for you. So if you want to double your efforts, you're getting leads from ZOLO. If you wanted to also receive other online leads, you could very well approach a company like Agent Locator. And yeah, they basically will create a website for you. So very similar to ZOLO, they'll create a website for you. They'll promote it through Google, and I think it's Google and something else. But that one could be like a little bit pricey, around $500 a month, but it's generating leads for you, and it does have a very sophisticated CRM, one that you would definitely need to do some training on. But 4 Walls, Income, also, yeah, lead generating. Curator, I'm not familiar with that one. We'll have to take a look at these later. I'm just going to make a quick note. And Curator, yeah, they are pricey. So again, you know what? It's this is the advantage that we have here at Zolo. We are provided with leads that we're not paying for up front, right? If you do start looking at these other CRMs, they are lead generating websites that come with the CRM, and yes, they can be quite pricey. So if you're interested in that, definitely take a look. But I always like to I try to recommend things that are either free or really, really affordable. So Exact is the one that I kind of is my go-to recommendation. All right, let me know how we're doing. Because really what I'll talk about next here is just having a daily schedule. And I know this comes up a lot, but you do want to have a daily schedule, especially if you're a new realtor, because you don't want these things to fall through the cracks. These things being your follow-ups, right? Customer service is all about staying connected to your clients. And if you are a realtor on demand, if you are, taking a call and running out on a showing because somebody asked to see something now, other parts of your business are going to fall through the cracks, right? And you might not have time that day to do your follow-ups. And then what happens the next day? Now you're behind a day. Do you have time to do all those follow-ups? Or are you just going to forget about the day that you missed? So things start falling through the cracks if you don't have a schedule for yourself. So you definitely want to have a system in place. So, using that CRM that you implemented, or even just that Excel spreadsheet, and those follow-ups that you've scheduled in your CRM, setting aside a time during the day that you are going to actually nurture those leads. So it's not just about new all the time. Yes, we get leads into the Zolo CRM all the time. I hear this all the time that, oh, I didn't get a lead today, right? But you had 2 leads yesterday and 10 leads the week before and 30 leads last month. So what about all of those, right? Don't just rely on new every day. You want to set aside time where you're following up with all those other people that you had conversations with, in the months leading up to today. So schedule some time for you, and then also schedule a time that you prefer to go out on showings, right? You don't want this business will wear you out if you are on everybody else's schedule. So, even if you're new, even if you're not particularly, super busy during the day, and you can go out on a showing, at 11 and then at 3 and then at 6, maybe you have a time slot during the day that you prefer to schedule your showings, right? Maybe it's the afternoon, maybe it's between 2 and 5, that's kind of your sweet spot, so that you have evenings with your family, maybe, weekends, if you can take a day off on the weekend, that'd be great. So yeah, just having a system in place so that you're not burning out, right? And you're not a realtor on demand. Of course, there will be exceptions to every rule, right? If you have, for example, the morning where you're having your coffee, you're replying to emails, you're doing your computer follow-up, maybe your social media, and then you have showing scheduled for the afternoon. If somebody does call you and they want to see a really nice property, they're only available at 11 a.m., obviously you make an exception. But generally speaking, you don't want the other pieces of your business to fall through the cracks because you're dropping everything, at the request of a showing. So do have a time slot that that you prefer, and then make that suggestion. So if you are having a conversation with the lead and they want to see a property today at 11, ask them, are you available at 2? If that's your preferred time slot. And a lot of times right now, especially with people working virtually from home, they may very well be available. All right. Yes, and phone skills. Great question. So any update about phone skills webinar for super new agents? Yeah, so this is something that we are offering. We've done it a couple of months now. So it's a 4-week phone skills training session. So it's interactive, it's live, we role play, and we are going to be offering it again in June. I believe they're going to change the date. It might be on Friday, but I think that's still in the works. So I will definitely let you know about that. I will make myself another note. Phone skills. Yeah, because that is, that is definitely going to be an important piece to all of this, right? To your customer service, you definitely want to know what questions to ask. And you want to, yes, have a really good rapport with people on the phone. You want to be pre-qualifying in some cases and not qualifying so heavily in other cases. And I'll give that away right now. If you're talking to lease leads, you definitely want to make sure that they're qualified. There's going to be a ton of lease leads that come into your CRM, and you won't be able to help all of them. Unfortunately, I know when you're brand new, you want to help everybody and do all the business, but really at the end of the day, some people just aren't qualified. So it's better for them to, reach out to landlords directly or listing agents directly, if their credit score is low and their income is low. So if you're talking to a lease lead, your phone conversation is going to be very different than if you're working with a buyer lead. So that lease lead conversation, you're definitely asking them all the questions. What's your credit? Which should be 650 plus. What's your income? Which generally speaking should be 3 times the amount of rent. So those are kind of some guidelines that you want to use. But if you're working with a buyer client, suddenly you don't have to ask those questions. That is for the mortgage broker to ask. All you have to ask is if they're working with a realtor. And if not, then you can go ahead and show them the property. Of course, you also want to know if they're pre-approved, but I wouldn't use that as a prerequisite for a showing, right? Even if they're not pre-approved, still go to that in-person meeting, right? Educate them on the process, put them in touch with your mortgage brokers, recommend ZOLO mortgages, and then hopefully, start building that relationship. So great question. Because yeah, that's the next piece here. So I'll probably just end with this because calls, yes, you want to be making your calls. You want to definitely have not so much a script, but just you want to know what to ask, right? You want to know what information to gather from the call. So I will make a quick recommendation here that in your CRM, if you go to your CRM, if you go to the client's profile, the very last section in the client profile is called qualifying. So if you click on that, it takes you, there's an edit button right next to that section, takes you to a qualifying questionnaire. So if you're brand new to real estate, you just want to start these conversations with how can I help you, right? And then fill in that form. How many bedrooms do they need? What's their motivation? What's their timeline? All of that. So it's a great questionnaire to have in front of you. It's a great place to input the information that you're collecting, and it's a great way to stay on point. So how can you help? And then enter in all that information. And then if they are qualified at the end of the call, when would you like to see properties, right? So how can you help? And when would you like to see properties? In between that, you're having that conversation, you're finding out what they need, and you're pre-qualifying them heavily if they're a lease lead. If they're a buyer lead, you're just wanting to make sure that they're not already committed to working with an agent. So when you're making those phone calls, you might want to have a goal for yourself. So what are you going to do when you wake up and you have your coffee and it's 10 a.m. and you're going to start doing your calls? And I say 10 a.m. because, I'm sure we're all up earlier than that, but, lease leads or buyer leads probably don't want a phone call at 7 a.m. So, maybe you do your follow-ups starting at 10 a.m. or maybe it's noon, whatever it is for you. You're making those calls. What are your goals? Are you going to sit down and just call the one lead that came into your CRM? Are you following up with past leads? So have some kind of goal for yourself so that, not only are you providing good customer service when you make these phone calls, but you are walking away from it knowing that you've accomplished something. So does that mean you're going to make X amount of phone calls? Is it 10 calls, 20 calls, 30 calls, 100 calls? What is it? Are you going to be sending out a certain number of emails? Are you going to be sending out a certain number of text messages? Are you going to be dedicated to making these phone calls for 2 hours every day? Personally, I like to make a goal of appointments booked. So, sit down, call those new leads, follow up with those old leads. If you have to think of ways to drum up extra business, do that, brainstorm, and then maybe you don't walk away until you've actually scheduled a showing, right? That is the goal. When you're sitting down and you're making calls, you're calling the new people, you're calling the old people, you're not going to stop calling people until you have at least booked one showing, whether that's for later today, whether that's for tomorrow, you've scheduled a showing. If you're booking showings every single day, no question you'll be successful. It's a numbers game in real estate. So sit down and make those calls and don't give up until you've actually booked a showing. All right, where's the questionnaire? So yeah, if you go into your ZOLO CRM right now, if you click on a client's profile, that client profile is separated into about 5 different sections. It starts off at the very beginning with their contact information. That's where you see that green button that says update contact. But if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's something called qualifying. That has its own edit button. And if you click on that, you'll see a qualifying questionnaire. So it's also, it's a great place to enter in all of the information to record what information they're giving you in terms of what they need, but also you know, what their timeline is, what their motivation is. So that's all in there. So if you're not sure what to ask next, it's a great place to, again, have in front of you to record the information you're gathering, and you can clearly see what's still missing, right? So you don't forget to ask them, by the way, you didn't tell me, you know, if a finished basement was important to you or not, or what neighborhood, you know, you really preferred. So yeah, it's a great questionnaire to have. So definitely look into that in your CRM. Awesome. Can anyone recommend a platform for posting sales, like a template to insert sold lease property? A platform for posting sales. So if you're looking for a template that you want to create, I would recommend Canva. Again, it's my free recommendation. So if you have, it actually, you know what, we were talking about this the other day that, you know, we should probably do like a Canva webinar. Maybe we'll do that for next month. But yeah, because literally you can just take a picture of a property and then you can create, you know, either sold or leased. And then that's something that you can definitely post on your Facebook business page. So Canva, it's free. And once you set up one template, it's super, super easy to just recreate for all of your sold properties, all of your leased properties that you're going to be doing in the future. So yeah, definitely Canva is my recommendation for that. All right. So I'll just end it with this. So typical call flow, you know, just make sure that you are answering your phone, please, please, please. You're answering it professionally. Let them know that you are a Zolo agent. Be proud of that. You know, if they ask you if you're the listing agent, let them know I'm a buyer specialist. I can show you all of these properties that are listed on Zolo, or anything you find online, I can help you. You don't have to reach out to the listing agents directly. I can help. So again, that's you showing them your value, right? So you want to talk to them about what they're looking for. You want to add value because again, at the end of the day, it's about customer service, right? You don't want them doing all the work, right? You're going to take that off of their shoulders. You're going to be the one to schedule appointments. They don't have to reach out to listing agents individually. They can just tell you every single property that they want to see, and you're going to schedule it, you know, in geographical order, back to back, so there's no time being wasted. So that's, you know, something that you're going to offer. And then closing remarks, you know, definitely ending that call with, when would you like to see properties, right? You want to convert them to something. You want to convert that call to a showing. If you realize that they are not qualified, then the takeaway here is that they still have good customer service with Zolo. Please don't dismiss a lead who is not qualified. If they don't have really great credit, if they don't have, you know, the income that they need, their employment has been interrupted. I mean, don't be dismissive, right? Still provide them with that customer service and point them in the right direction. If it's not with you, then maybe it's with the listing agent directly. Maybe a listing agent might, you know, be motivated to double end a deal, especially if you have a lower end lease lead, you know, that's looking at a basement suite and their income isn't the best, you know, forward them to the listing agent. And then, you know, worst case scenario, again, in the example of a lease lead, you know, Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji. So those are some things that you can do to provide service, even though you're not able to help. So still, at the end of the day, always think about customer service and how you can either help personally or help by pointing them in the right direction. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if you guys have any questions, or if you have anything that you want to share. I know I started this off with asking if there was anything that you guys have implemented, or yeah, just anything that you find that works in your business that clients really like, that you've received great feedback about. Let me know. I use the example of the buyer consultation, so doing those virtually, setting up a Zoom call. I think that's a really great way to just start building rapport, right? Trust and rapport. On one of our past webinars, we talked about pre-listing presentations. So having some kind of a buyer's guide, seller's guide, don't be afraid to put one together for renters. Have a renter's guide, right? And include in your renter's guide maybe something that says, have you thought about buying? And after this conversation that you have with them on the phone, after this initial conversation, you're following up with them, right? You're sending them an email with a blank rental application. Why not include a package of some sort, a guide of some sort, renter's guide, buyer's guide, seller's guide. So implement something like that. Again, it just shows that you have material that's going to help them with the process. You're educating them, you're guiding them. So think of it, you know, in those terms, and people will be loyal to you, right? So do more than just showing up and unlocking a door. Provide value, educate, anticipate needs, and close deals. Awesome. Well, if there aren't any questions, then I will leave you with that. But thank you guys for joining me today, and enjoy this short week. And I hope you are busy, busy, busy. Let me know if you have questions going forward, and we'll see you on the next webinar. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.